And we are live with the great and powerful MudMan Dan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been pretty good. I've been pretty sick this week. I don't know if you could tell.
I
Um,
hear a little.
yeah, I know, right? It's I think I got some food poisoning and yeah, I don't know. It's affecting my voice a little bit. But I am all good. It's good to have you on, man. We've been trying to do this for a while.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been we tried to get was April. I think we tried this.
Yeah, I kind of went through. I do a little bit of a deep dive beforehand. It was like I think we first talked about it early February, and then we talked about it again late February.
Uh,
Let's talk about that trip. What happened there?
So, uh, got a used RV. Was getting it all prepped in the driveway. A little bit of slope on the driveway hill, and my partner, my girlfriend, was stepping out of it, stepping backwards, cleaning as she was cleaning the steps, and fell on her back took a big and broke her left arm. So
Yeah.
that put a real huge no go on the trip because that was 6 to 8 weeks. She's still actually nursing it back. So they put a titanium bar up in her arm. She got like I think 7 pins in there. So and that stays forever now.
Yeah.
So that kind of threw a wrench in the like going up. We were actually heading up to Washington, Seattle, and maybe crossing over the border up there into Canada, go see
Yeah.
your kind of people. And and that all came to a screeching halt. So
Did you end up doing something else, or did you just
uh
kind of?
small little trips. So we're just doing little trips around SoCal right now. We've got two rescue Sharpays that we adopted here recently. So
Hmm.
that's been taking up a lot of time, just spending time with the dogs, getting them to interact with. We have an older female and two males, and getting everybody to cooperate because they're going to go on the trip with us. But the first couple of meetings they've all had, there was a little bit of scuffling going on when the
Yeah,
new dogs are meeting, the alpha dogs. So yeah.
they're gorgeous dogs, by the way.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I got the big new guy over here. He's just laying down by me, so I might
and
pop.
then, and so what are the names? Pooh Bear.
Well, his original name was Chado, and when
Okay.
we adopted him, we're like, yeah, we don't like Chado, so I named him Bjorn,
Yeah.
which is was Scandinavian for bear, and then the other one's Knut. Like, do you ever watch the Viking series? Did you ever watch this?
It's
Dude,
what
it's a
it's
good
one.
show.
It's one of those ones that I know I'm going to start and go all the way to the end.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with The Sopranos. I didn't watch it at all until it was over.
And I've never watched that. And there's like 20 seasons of that, right? It's like it's huge. And I thought that would be a good one. I need to watch that actually. But yeah, Vikings is and that's where like all the Viking I because I got Viking blood in me. So
Oh,
I just
yeah, I
I just
imagine.
dig it. I just dig it. It's cool. So
Yeah, that's dope, man. Vikings, eh? Did you? You didn't show your cup yet.
oh
Uh,
my big Viking horn.
man, that is so cool.
Yeah, and this was for my 50th birthday, so you can't really read it.
Yeah,
This way. My girlfriend got it says aged 50 years, the man, the myth, the legend, happy birthday, my Viking king. Skull.
there we go. There we go. I
She got
can't
engraved.
believe you're 50. There's no
I'm
way.
I'm 52, bro. This was for my 50th. This was 2 years ago.
Jesus. You look better than
Yeah.
most of us.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. Well, the drywall honestly keeps me in shape. It does.
That is true. Yeah, you do kind of stay active in the drywall community. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm up and down ladders all day. I've shied away from the bigger projects. I
Yeah.
was commercial for 20 plus years. So I ran tools. I run all the tools. I hand finished first, then learned tools back in 89. I started in 89 with my dad full time.
Wow.
And been doing this crap since I was 7 years old because I was spotting screws and fire taping in between tight spots where my dad couldn't get when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because back then there was no OSHA. I was running around and he was smoking and cutoffs and he had his long 70s hair. And I'm running around spotting screws for a penny a screw, and I'd make $1 and think, oh, I'm rich, and go buy candy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, go get 100 penny candies.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah. Good, man. That's wicked.
Candy cigarettes back in the day. I don't think they
That's
sell those anymore.
yeah, they're definitely not called candy cigarettes. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, no.
There's a guy out west. the big dog. I don't know if you follow him at all, but
Oh
he
yeah, Big Dog
yeah,
Construction. Yeah.
yeah, he had his little girl, and they were doing one of the stories, and he's like, she's been through a whole pack of cigarettes, and she's got a little pack of them candy sticks, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's awesome. So you're kind of like the patch master now, eh? You're not doing big jobs anymore.
I'll do 10 to 30 sheets by myself at the most. And if I'm going to do anything bigger, back when I lived in Colorado, I had my nephew and I'd take on full basements and, big remodels. But now the age, as you well know, those tools, drywall, it takes a toll on your joints and ligaments and body. And I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to have some minor issues. I've never been physically hurt real bad, hurt, just aside from like a sore back for a couple days. And I've never had any major surgeries, but like my right knee's starting to go, my left ankle's starting to go, and my shoulders are getting pretty sore. So,
It's smart to kind of see that path and then start to deviate. And like there's still a lot of ways to make a lot of money, right? Like
oh yeah.
especially like when you kind of harness using five, doing patches is not a big deal. Exactly. Yeah, the double thumbs up.
I can, John, I know you've seen some of my work.
Oh yeah.
I can go in and blow out 2 or 3 major patches in a day and come out with $1,500 or more for a day's work.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying a couple pieces of drywall. I'm easy peasy and in and out, and it's not that bad. So, and I'm even getting more picky because I don't want to be up on 20-foot ceilings
No.
anymore. I have the scaffolding stuff, but I'm like, why do that? I'll, let some young buck do that patch. I'll do the wall patches for, hundreds of $600-700 for patches on the walls. Cause I'm in SoCal, so the prices are pretty pricey.
See that.
I'm not gonna lie. I do very good on patchwork. So
And there is something to be said for that. Like we have dedicated companies out here. I think it's I actually think it's called Patchmaster, but that's all this guy does, and he has a thriving business.
yeah,
And I
because
mean it.
it's hard
Yeah, and
to match.
if you're good at it and you're doing it properly, you could be in and out of there in a day,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to somebody's going to come in, make a mess of your house for 3 or 4 days, and then they don't show up, and blah blah blah.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are you up to now? What do you got on the go?
I've got a couple jobs coming up. I got like honestly, this guy's been waiting for me because I told him I was going on vacation and I took care of my girlfriend with her broken arm, these dogs. I haven't been working a lot, I haven't been posting much, just a small job here or there. But I got some bigger stuff coming up. I got a guy down in SoCal, Southern California, San Diego, where it's just 2 rooms where he's got stress cracks up along the ceiling lines. And I'm gonna go in and that's easy. It's just angle taping, maybe peel out the old stuff if it's bad, but I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna use like straight flex or no coat or something like that. So it's a little more rigid because he says it keeps doing that. So that means there's some truss lifting issues, I'm assuming, or
Yeah, you got
foundation
some movement.
or something. So I'm gonna try and make it to where it doesn't do it. Because he's like, how can you guarantee? I'm like, it can't guarantee nothing.
Wow.
If it keeps doing it, I mean, I'll do my best and throw everything I have at it, but it is what it is,
Yeah,
so I got that and a couple other smaller jobs. So
that's the nice thing with no coat. The basement that we're just finishing, it's a soundproof gym and home theater room.
okay.
And I don't know if the spec came in late or whatever, but it's on the second layer. They've done Acoustiseal around everything, so you can't tape that, right? It's exposed, right? So it's like 400 feet of no coat,
I think
and
I saw your post for that.
yeah, it
A
turned
lot
out
of no
great. Oh, fucking 400 linear feet in 2 rooms is a little wild.
yeah.
Um, but it turned out great. And the guy that we're working under, that's what he said. He's like, you've got all that. Um, I want to say clearance, but it's you're this far away on either side.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So if it's cracking underneath, that's fine. You've really got to have some adjustment going on to fuck
Yeah,
up no code, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. You gonna work forever then, or what?
At this rate, I'm trying not to. I mean, I'm investing in my 401k, IRA, that type of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I want to expand, but the troubles of trying to hire. I feel okay. I feel hiring finishers is one of the hardest ones to get because you can find a drywaller or good drywallers, and if they mess it up, who has to fix it? The taper, the finisher, and that's in finding somebody that can float stuff out, do level 5, spray texture. That's hard to groom somebody that way. I've been doing this 35 plus years. I'm second generation, so for me, it comes natural, but my expectations are really high. So uh, I'm pretty anal OCD about it when I have a helper. I'm not the nicest. I'm at the point now where I'm going to have to groom somebody if I want to have help, but I'm going to have to really back off my standards a little, which, to a certain degree, because not everybody views it the same way we view it. I view it as like, hey, that's my job. That's my name. That's my reputation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then there is that nobody's going to work as hard for you as you will, right? And nobody's quality is going to be as good for you as you.
Yeah.
But that, there are guys out there. It's just a matter of finding them, right? And a lot of those, I'm one of them. I was an excellent worker for almost everybody I worked for, but
What happened? What
Oh
happened?
yeah, right.
What
But
happened?
you end up being treated so poorly, or everybody
Oh
gets
yeah,
used to the fact that you kick ass all day, and the day that you don't, it's like, what the hell
yeah,
happened,
yeah.
And
Their expectations are way up here, and then all of a sudden, and you're like way above all the time, and then you're like, "Hey, I'm sick today," and they're like, "What the hell? You didn't do 20 patches today?" It's like, no,
eh.
I'm not feeling too good.
Yeah, it is a little bit wild. Sticking your nose back into that world of being paid by the hour,
Mhm.
big company stuff. Nobody's accountable. I'm not sure I'd last a day on a site like that these days.
I don't think, and I've thought about that too. I'm like, hey, I could go. And what's cool about our trade is I can go anywhere and be a patch guy,
Yeah.
or even a regular finisher. I think I feel sorry for the younger generation.
Hmm.
I'll name out like, hey, it's a millennial. I won't say that word or whatever, but it's like I can outwork a lot of these young bucks, and I'm 52. And that's sad. And when I was in my 20s, I was like boxing up 3, 4, 500 sheets a day and bazooka, 1,000 sheets with 2 or 3 guys running behind me, and now I'm slowed down way, way big time. But I still hustle even on my patches because I'm in and out that same day. I'm at home drinking out of my Viking cup by noon or 1 o'clock. And I love that about the independence. So, like what
Yeah.
you just said, I don't know if I could go back to hourly.
Yeah, there's
And
just no way. And
hard.
when people ask me do you have an hourly rate? Like you almost wince to answer it because
Mhm.
it's like this is it. And it's this like, holy shit, that's a lot, but it's not.
But it's
Uh,
not because they're paying for your skills,
yeah.
your knowledge, your everything that you bring to that package,
Well, and
right?
you could have 3 guys for a little bit less than that, and they have no fucking idea what they're doing. When you're saying outworking younger people, that just means like speed and getting it on the wall. You don't even talk about quality,
Mm.
right? So it's like it's hard to get that eye for it, and then it's hard to kind of give a shit. Where when I walk by something, I'm like, that's gonna bother me. And I think most people walk by it and go, I wonder if somebody's gonna see that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the unfortunate part, especially for a lot of the young people these days, is they're being taught by people that are like, I wonder if somebody's gonna see that.
Yeah.
So they're not being taught to have that integrity, right?
Yeah. In me, I'm like, I don't know if it's like you. I walk into a restaurant or anywhere, like even here in the home property, my girlfriend's property, I'm like looking around that vent cover and it's bad finishing. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna fix that someday, but
Yeah.
it bothers me. I see soffit lines and they're crooked, and I'm like, oh, the bead got put on bad, or it's shallow.
Yeah, it's
So
I say it's like the Matrix, right? Where you see how everything is made, not what it looks like. And it's all
exactly.
just terrible. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Have you ever had one of those patch jobs or a job where you're like tying into something that's terrible and you're doing your new work and it's like and I actually asked the clients, I'm like, what do you want? Because mine's gonna either be consistently perfectly good looking
Hmm.
or I can kind of try and make it look like the garbage you have there, without being rude. I'm not being rude, but I'm like, there's going to be a fine. It's going to, unless we skim the whole house and there, yeah, it is what
At
it is.
at some point, you have to stop, though,
Yeah,
right? So, is it a foot from it? Is it 2 feet from it? Is it the room? Is it,
exactly.
the hallway down the hall? We had that kitchen that I did last summer. I went out west. The kitchen itself, all the cabinets got installed, and then
Uh,
when I came back, there was some cracking that happened. Now we re-insulated. Actually, we period insulated. I took all the walls out of this kitchen that was existing, and there
okay.
wasn't even newspaper. There was nothing in the
Oh,
walls.
oh, wow. This is
That
up in Canada.
man, this is like in Hamilton. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it was over by like where Westinghouse was, like it's like an old industrial area. It was a really old house for sure. Um, but so start getting some cracking on the lath and plaster. And I'm like, okay, crap. The customer's now been picking at it, which is not what they said to begin with, right? So I'm now on vacation worrying about, oh, I've destroyed this house. And I show up and there's little like fork marks, or well, we just wanted to make it whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what I did. I made it, I patched it all and I made it perfect. And then you
Mhm.
look 6 inches this way, 6 inches that way, and everything looks terrible now because it's screaming at you. So I went over it again, a little rougher, and kind of made it look the same.
Yeah.
And it was much nicer then. But yeah, it didn't even occur to me. I was like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make it the best that I can. And yeah, I was like, well, that was the wrong move.
That's crazy. But we get those customers too. They're like, "Oh, can you do this and this?" And I'll throw in a little bit if it's really close
Totally.
or something, or pending what I'm doing, the person. But it's like, "Oh, can you fix that and this?" And I'm like, "You don't realize I got to put plastic down there. That
Yeah.
little stress crack just turned into 2 or 3 hours. It's not like it's just, oh, yeah, that's easy." Mm,
Well, and even if it is, yeah, that's easy, but not three or four things and or
yeah.
whatever, right? Yeah, we actually same job. I had the electrician there, and this is a guy that I called in as a favor. He gave
Mhm.
me I paid him an excellent hourly rate, and he didn't put any points on the material.
Right.
So it was kind of perfect.
Mhm.
And while he's there, she's like, "Oh, and are you going to do this light? And are you going to do that? And are you going to do this?" And he kind of gave her this bullshit line, and then messaged me later when, "Hey, man, sorry, we didn't discuss it, but these are the things that they asked for." It would have been like $600 worth of shit. But now
Wow.
to a customer though, no, that's 2 or 3 minutes here, 2 or 3 minutes there. But
Mhm. Mhm.
especially for trades where you have a license, everything is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys up there have to have licenses up in Canada for
Not
drywall?
not for drywall. No.
Okay. Yeah, because Denver, California, or Colorado wasn't that way for me unless you were commercial doing big jobs.
Mhm.
But like doing residential and patchwork and basement stuff, I could work under the homeowner's license. So out here in California, I had to get a license. That was a whole jumping through hoops type of deal.
So what is part of all that? Is it like you have insurance or is it
I got to be
actually like
bonded. I have to be bonded, insured, liability insurance, and then general insurance. Uh,
right?
and the bonding was like a 15 to $20,000 bond, which I think just went up. I think it went up to 30,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then the licensing, getting your license, you had to do the trade part, and then you had to do a business. There was like a business part of it course too. So it was pretty intense. I ended up having to do an online course because I knew the trade part of it, like, oh, what do you do for stress cracks or
Oh,
touch?
totally.
That stuff was gravy. It was the business part that I was like freaking out, and I'm like, I haven't been in school for freaking 30, 40 years, right? So I'm like, oh, tests, yeah, freaking out, and it all worked out, but
You're in there at
yeah.
noon going, I don't have a cold beer in my hand yet.
Right. You know what was funny though? I took that test before I got COVID or after I got COVID. It was right before I got COVID. I took that test and aced it. So they don't tell you
Nice.
your score, but they're like, yeah, you passed. And I was like, really? Both of them? And they're like, yep. I was like, cool. And then right after that, I got COVID and thought I was gonna die. So
Yeah, man. I remember hearing about that on Nick's podcast. That is fucking scary.
yeah, it's buried way deep in my original Instagram post. I'm like in the bed on the breathing machines and all that stuff. It was bad. So
Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fortunately nobody that I knew ever got really sick off of it. And then
Mhm.
nobody had any complications from the vaccines. Um, our government was like hardcore into everybody having it.
Mhm.
They're backpedaling pretty heavy on it now.
Oh
Where,
really?
oh yeah, Trudeau's well, we never told anyone they had to do it, and then they'll have that clip, and then the clip after that is him going, everybody, it's mandatory, all this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
So it's but I mean, I understand people have to do things in like pressured situations,
Mhm.
but there has to be integrity just like anything else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's that like my body said it needed some. So I was happy after I got healed to go get the vaccine because I've had pneumonia 2 or 3 times in the past. So my
yep.
lungs are compromised. So I'm prone to it, like getting something and it killing me a lot easier than somebody else. So I'm like, but I don't judge people. Like, if you want to go do that, if you don't want to do it, that's your free will. I'm
Yeah.
not going to judge you, but if you die, I might say, well, that wasn't a smart choice, but that was your choice.
Yeah.
No,
I
that's how I go through life.
my stance on the whole thing was I'm not going to do it of my own free will, but if somebody kind of if it's that important to somebody, I'll do it. And very quickly, my mom was like, "So, when are we doing it?" And I was like, "I'm not opposed to it." And she set it all up. It was great. It
Yeah.
didn't hurt me none, right? Like that whole time I was working on my own anyways, so I really wasn't exposed to anything. W- w- I very few people I would go see. My like guy friend group, Fred's got this enormous shop,
Oh yeah.
pool table bikes, like it's a
Yeah.
clubhouse.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just parked all the chairs 10 feet away from each other and had one of the doors open kind of thing. And we would do that maybe once a month. My cousin's a firefighter, so they're all super careful. Everybody's, so
Mhm.
but other than that, I wasn't seeing anybody. I wasn't going to the gym. All of my work, I was just finishing myself, right? So I was really fortunate through all that.
Yeah. Did you
Groceries
wear a
once a
mask
week.
when you were at work?
Um, no, because there was no one there. Like
Yeah.
these are like people's homes that they
Oh,
were
okay.
not living in. Um, but I mean, saying that, if ever the sander comes out, I've got a full respirator on.
Mhm.
So I am somewhat careful that way. Um, but yeah, I mean, for the first little while there, I called bullshit on it right away. And then when there was no toilet paper and like water was being scarce, I had like the M90 or whatever they are, the M100 masks. And that's
Okay.
that's like uh it blocks out everything in the respirator, right?
Yeah.
I'm going through the grocery store with that thing
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care. I'm not dying, man. Um yeah, that was a little bit of a scary thing in the beginning there, especially when everything started kind of falling apart.
Yeah. I
Okay,
agree because that's good. Oh yeah. Onward. Next.
onward. That drywall mentors page. Did you start that?
Yeah, that was my idea.
Yeah, that's
So, but I go ahead. You're
it,
the boss.
easily my favorite Facebook page. Easily my favorite Facebook page. When I started talking to Nick a little bit more,
Mhm.
he was like, I don't understand why you're not on Facebook. The only kind of feedback I ever got from Facebook was super negative. Um, and it was just reels. It wasn't even me posting. And I was getting all these really shitty comments. Didn't understand why. I had just put them on there just to get content onto Facebook. And then I started taking a look at the views, and some of them have like 2.5 million views. And I
Yeah.
was like, that makes a lot more sense. Cause if you show 100 people something, for sure, 10 of those people are stupid.
Yeah.
So then when I got into the drywall world in there, I think it was Drywall Magazine was the first one that I went into.
Mhm.
And it was like you spot screws like a girl, and it was like a post on my angle head running or something, right? So
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, all right, we'll let that one slide. But it took us, I don't know, maybe a week. And then when you were like, I don't remember who added me to the group, but very quickly you were like, do you want to be um
A
uh
moderator.
a moderator? Yeah. And I loved it. It's such a positive place. If people aren't on Instagram when we're talking, it's the first thing that I tell them to do is go find that group and be a gentleman while you're on there.
Well, I appreciate that because that I feel the same way you did. I'm in about, I was in about, and still I am, but like 10, 20 different drywall groups, right?
Yeah.
And the smack talking, I would post a time lapse, and they're like, you in my time lapse, if I don't edit him too much, sometimes you didn't see the tape going on. And they're like, you didn't tape it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, it's my first time. I've been doing it for 5 years, but yeah, I did add tape, right?
Yeah.
So then I'd slow it down and send them a clip, like you can see the tape in my hand. I'm like, there you go. And I was like, why do I got to defend myself?
Yeah.
And the amount of unprofessionalism, the amount, it's fun to joke around and a little shit talking, so it's fun.
Totally. Yeah.
That's how I was raised. But you got to know when to stop and how much, you know, you got to have thick skin, right?
Yeah. And how much is too much? And
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. For
yeah. You
sure.
don't want to be a bully and all that stuff, but a little ribbing's fun, especially if they were your buddies. Like Corey. I can give Corey crap,
Yes.
or any of these other Nick, anybody. We can give each other shit, and we're gonna laugh about it, right? Like, oh yeah, whatever. But I wanted my group to be like, it's no bullshit. I'm not putting up with bullshit. That's
Yeah.
why I chose all good moderators like yourself, Corey, um, everybody, Nick. I have a whole hand, Edward. There's a whole group of people in there that are moderators, and I'm
Hmm.
like, don't put up with shit, guys. We're just here to talk drywall. I don't want to post about some weird non-drywall related. If it's not drywall related, it doesn't even be in the group.
Yeah. Get out. Yeah.
I'll let a little bit slide, but it's like, no, this is more drywall oriented and good questions and people that ask questions without getting bashed. Like every question is, we're like, nobody was born with a pan and knife or a hawk and trowel in their hand.
Yeah.
You
For
know,
sure.
that's those other groups are like, how long you've been doing that? And he might have only been doing it a week, but they still, any effort to me is a good effort. That's the only way you're going to learn.
I always tell people I have nothing but time for people that are trying to learn.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
right. So it's if you're not hurting anybody, and like you said, stupid questions that on a group of everybody knows everything, there are such things as stupid questions. But I mean, in a positive atmosphere, there really isn't, right? And if your answer is so basic that you think the question is stupid, let's hear it, right? Let's hear
Exactly.
10 people's versions of it. And in some of those threads, you can see, and then all the other guys are chiming in. Oh, yeah. And oh, everybody's being super positive. It, especially if you were just trying to get your feet off the ground, right? Or
Yeah.
as a sole proprietor, you can get into doing it. And you
Right.
could probably get half a dozen sites under you until you're like, um, holy shit, I've never come across this before, or I've never seen that before, or how the fuck do I get up there?
Yeah.
Right? Like the staircases and stuff. I love, well, most of the time I love seeing the things that people do. Or is it, ladders and planks and a two-step and whatever, right? Sometimes you got to close your eyes a little bit, but it
Yeah.
it's still, how would you do that? And if you ask that on other groups, man, they're just gonna hammer you.
Yeah. Like the guys on double sets of stilts, I'm just like, oh God. I had a hard time walking on my tall boys across a warehouse with nothing around. These guys are on double stilts walking over crap. And I'm just like, no.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
pretty good. Um, what kind of knives are you using? Like what?
I use I love stainless. I've always had
Yeah.
stainless just because I used to do blue blades because they were broken better, but
Mhm.
I feel I use honestly most of my videos, I've always got that big old 14-inch knife in my hand. And
Mhm.
that's an old Goldblatt. that's all worn out, and I had two of them, and then I lost a bucket, fell out back of my truck. Tailgate was down one day going
Shit.
around the corner, so I lost a whole bucket set. I had two sets I always carried with me, so I haven't replaced that. But now I'm using the wall. I got some level fives, and I have an assortment from everything from a a little half-inch knife all the way up to those 14-inch knives, and then some skimming blades.
Okay, so I saw this. Did Corey like laser etch something on your tech
So
drive?
I did that.
I love it.
So if you have a blade you want and you want to send it to me, I will metal etch anything you want on it, because I've got, in fact, the hobby cabinet that's just to my left here.
Yeah.
I've got metal etching, I got glass etching, I got a cry cut machine. So this is all vinyl cut out, a t-shirt vinyl. I made
Oh,
my own shirts. So, and then I got iron press for that. So I
that's
like to dig
brilliant.
around. I like to dig around in hobby stuff. Like I had one guy send me all these leather blanks for these cup holders, and then
Yes.
etch or pound in or burn stuff in there. And when I don't have them, they make good cup holders. So
Yeah, that's brilliant.
yeah, I used to want to airbrush, be an airbrush artist. So I do, a whole bunch of hobby type graphic stuff. I love graphics.
Very cool.
So yeah.
We just got back from Columbia headquarters,
Okay.
and they've got one of those laser machines in there. So we've got like Yeti mugs, and I've got a pool trowel that says Fresco Harmony on it now. We like all the
That's
taper
cool.
caps and shit, and yeah, it was like I feel like there was a moment where we were just looking around for whatever to put in there. So that little tiny C on the, hold on, I think I got it. Yeah. So Cam's insignia takes forever because it's so intricate. The
Oh, that's
Brawley's,
very cool. So that's the
yeah,
top
right.
of the bazooka, right? The top panel
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's way cool.
So this is super quick, but that little C is just like it's super quick. So I kind of
Wow.
looked at Aaron and I was like, if I stuck my hand in there, and right away we were all like, that's a good idea. And then, of course you think but yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff's really cool. Yeah, you can really get into all of your stuff can have your name on it or
Mhm.
whatever, right? Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that a lot.
I actually, one of my other mugs, because I like that Star Wars logo I got that I shouldn't have on my mentors page. I cry cut a whole bunch of stickers that vinyl for vinyl mug going on the mugs too. So
Nice.
yeah, if anybody ever wants anything, they just reach out and I can play around with that kind of stuff.
It's a good
Because that's
thing no
what I
one
enjoy
listens
on
to
my free
this.
time. Yeah,
What's that?
that's why I enjoy making stuff on my free
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I need to fish more. I need to go fishing more, but yeah, that's a whole different story.
Oh, I want to get into that next. We got a few minutes left here.
Okay.
Why don't we have a break right now?
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Bam.